Hello, Market Irish Football Fan TV. This is five players I think that should get called up to play for the Republic of Ireland men's national team versus Norway and Malta in the friendlies next month. I'm going to start off with number one, Will Smallbone. He's on loan at Stoke from Southampton this season. Fair play to him. He wanted to get out and play first team football at the end of last season, having been injured for the majority of last season, and then only really getting back in amongst it towards the back end of last season, and finished really, really strongly and was really good. I suppose towards the back end during the summer as well with the under 21s, he really helped the 21s get to that playoff. Unfortunately, couldn't get over the line, losing to Israel, but came close. Obviously, went to penalties. But I think Will Smallbone's the one showing real promise, and looks like he could be the future of that Irish midfield if he is to get himself capped very, very shortly. Obviously, people will still be worrying about will he declare for England. Will he? I think Stephen Kenny hasn't been far off calling him up, and I think he will be in the squad for the games against Norway and Malta. So I think he is one that definitely has to be called up. I think the reason why he wasn't was because he was so integral to the 21s, and I don't think that the Nations League games were as crucial as maybe that 21 tournament, just for the history of Irish football. So I think that's why I would go with Will Smallbone as a certainty to get called up. Touch wood, he doesn't get injured in the time between now and the squad being announced, but I definitely think that he's one, and I think Stephen Kenny's name dropped him as well. Number two, I'd probably go with his midfield partner, Connor Coventry. I know he hasn't played that much for West Ham this season, but I think I remember a period where Jason Malumbi was a real favourite of Stephen Kenny's, and I know Connor Coventry was such a crucial part of that 21s team. He was the captain. I think he ended up having the most caps for the 21s, but he is someone who is 22 now. He needs to start getting game time before he is, kind of left to decide. I think maybe if he gets in with the national team and he gets in, as Stephen Kenny's called him up before and had him in squads, hasn't used him though. But I think at this time around, if he does get called up, I think we should use him, and it could be a way to propel him into either the West Ham team or maybe for a move in January. Obviously, with the World Cup and that's coming up, game time will be limited. So if he can show what he could do before the World Cup, it might make other people who may take interest in maybe a championship level or maybe a lower end Premier League club, but I'd more so mean a championship club or maybe even somewhere abroad could take Connor in. But I think him coming in and having a decent cameo could really propel him and his career. Jason Malumbi had it last year at Brighton. He got his moves then to West Brom, and then he's obviously have to sign in permanently with them. So I think those two are definitely two that I think should really be given serious consideration. He's been on the bench a couple of times. He's made his appearances in the Premier League and in the Europa League as well, Europa Conference League, sorry. So I think he is a player that he could add something to that midfield. You look at our midfield as our weakest point at the moment, so why not give these players just a chance? I mean, they couldn't be any worse than what we've already been bringing in at the minute. Then number three, I would go Festy Ebosele. He started for Udinese the other night in the Coppa Italia. Their manager has gone on to say that his attitude's been brilliant and he trains really hard, and he doesn't think that he'd have any hesitation in starting him for future games. So I think that bodes well that he's getting his head down and working hard. He was unlucky maybe not to get into the senior squad. I think he was in the 21 squad to help out Jim Crawford's team. Not too sure why he didn't play a key part. I would have thought he would have, considering how well he's going. But I do think that now with these games coming up, it'd be a good chance to get him in and see what he's all about, and let him have a chance at kicking on with the national team and seeing how well he can do and how well he could cope against international players. I think Norway could be a good test to get him in there and just see how he goes. I think he'll start playing a lot more now for Udinese after the other night, and let's hope he just kind of goes up in levels. We know serious talent there behind Festy, so hopefully he gets himself sorted and into the squad for Stephen Kenny. Then Evan Ferguson, and people might question why I'm going with him. I'm just kind of looking at injuries at the moment. Aaron Connolly's out, Troy Parrott's out, and we've had injuries kind of coming and going between players as well. I do think It's like Chiadozie Ogbene is also out. So I do think it's a chance for Evan Ferguson, maybe just to be given a look at, just see what he could do. Like, these friendlies don't really mean it. He could come on against Malta and, you know, even get a goal. I don't see him playing against Norway if he is to get called up. But look, every time anybody speaks about him, they speak about his potential, his attitude, and he's just after signing his first professional contract with Brighton as well. Only 18 there the other day as well. So I think it makes sense to just bring him in and just kind of get a feel for what it's like. He'll know players like Shane Duffy and the Brighton lads. That'll make him feel right at home as well. Shane Duffy's brilliant at making players feel at home, and I'd imagine Shane will be in the squad regardless if he's playing for Fulham or not, just because he's that type of figure around the camp, you know. And again, I went back to talking about players who may end up getting, you know, game time out of it, could take that back into their club. But again, I kind of bring it back to the World Cup happening, that game time and stuff like that might hamper that. But anyway, I think Evan Ferguson has the best potential of all our strikers, but I think a lot of people are still jumping on making him out to be, you know, the next Haaland and stuff like that. I think just let him be Evan Ferguson. He doesn't need to be a Haaland. He doesn't need to be an Mbappe. He doesn't need to be anything other than a striker that we need. And yeah, just let him grow into the team, and hopefully he does get picked. But I can't think of any other strikers who'd be deserving or more deserving of a call up than Evan. And he produced big moments for the 21s as well when they needed against Israel and stuff like that. So he shows he can turn up at the big occasion, and he scored for the Brighton senior team as well earlier in the cup against Forest Green this season. So I just think, what have we got to lose by calling them up? I don't think you're losing much, to be fair. And then lastly, Joe Hodge. I mean, I just love this guy. I think he's just levels above what we have at the moment. He's after playing the last 3 games for Wolves, albeit you know, sub appearances and stuff like that. But I just think that this fella, I would like to see him capped. I'd like to see him be a player. If he's going to continue to get a run out at Wolves, he obviously came through the City Academy, decided to move on. He was at Derry for a little bit. Injuries hampered that, so he never got to play. But I'm watching him playing the Premier League, taking down the Nottingham Forest player in the 98 minutes, preventing a counter-attack. Intelligent play. Shithousery at its finest. Something that we lack, maybe that bit of bite in the middle. I know he's a bit slight at the moment, but I just think, why not get him in, just see what he's about, let him get involved, let him see how the camp is kind of run and stuff like that, and just get him into the squad, and why not just see how he gets on. Because, you know, I think of our other midfield options other than Malumbi and Josh Cullen, everybody else in that midfield is replaceable at the moment. And I don't mean that about Jason Knight. I think Jason Knight plays in a number of different positions, so I don't really count him as like a central midfielder. So I'm not really including him in that. But when I look at our midfielders, players like Howard and Hendrick, and they're just not offering enough to warrant a spot in the squad. But like, obviously at the same time, he needs to find that balance of experience and youth as well. But I think Stephen's not been afraid to bring in youth players before, so it will be interesting. Can these lads get into the squad? Can they continue the form between now and whenever the squad is announced in a couple of weeks' time? So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments on the 5 players that I picked, and is there anyone that I may have left out that you might like to see? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. And also, check out the Locker app. It's a fantastic app that we use regularly to keep up to date with all our Irish news. And any other football club that you may support, you can put them into your feed. So everything you go onto the app for, it has all the articles and everything related to your club, that you can just go in and get all the latest news for the club that you support. So whether that's, for me, it's Everton, Shelbourne, Celtic, Ireland, I'll go in there and it'll all be all those teams that I support, all them in a feed, and I have everything there, and they send you push notifications for the teams as well. So it's a fantastic app, and yeah, check it out. The link is in the description, and yeah, let us know what you think of that as well in the comments. I'll speak to you all soon. Thanks for watching.